Well, the world has still gone nutty, buddy, even downright cruddy, buddy. Wish I missed the past, buddy, but there's still Buddycast. No, don't be naughty, go meet everybody here on Buddycast.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the founder and host of Buddycast, Nick Sorensen.
I love that theme song. It's another episode of everybody's favorite show, Buddycast. I'm your host, Nick Sorensen. Thank you for joining us tonight on this Wednesday. Yep, it's Wednesday. Wednesday evening. I'm here with a very special buddy, my buddy, Ashley Messenger from Underdog BBQ. You may have seen Underdog, maybe if you watch Discovery Channel, Undercover Billionaire. How you doing today, Ashley?
I'm doing splendid. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for joining us on the episode today.
Thanks for the invite. I'm really excited.
Absolutely. We're just as excited and honored. So thank you for being a buddy on Buddycast. You're not a guest on the show. You're a buddy.
That's awesome. I love that.
Mm-hmm. So Ashley, tell us about the history behind Underdog BBQ.
I feel like there's so much. We've been open, well, even before opening Underdog, right? If you haven't seen the show, back in 2019, a guy named Glenn Stearns came to Erie, Pennsylvania with $100 in his pocket, a cell phone, and a truck. What he told the people he met in Erie was that his name was Glenn Bryant and that he was from California. He came from the financial world, and he had recently got cancer and beat it and decided that he wanted out of what he was doing and start something new, build his own business. And that was kind of the that was what he went off of. And he met people, he met entrepreneurs, he met with the local SBDC at Gannon. His goal was to ultimately build $1 million business within 90 days. Nobody really knew the timeline. They just kind of understood that, he had a dream to build a business, right? I kind of met Glenn early on. He had some interviews held at Gannon, and I went and met him. I was kind of more under the I thought I was going to meet him and not so much have a job interview, but regardless, I totally tanked it, and I'm pretty socially awkward, and that definitely comes off on the show. And Glenn's just like, you want to stay away from those types of people. And so I was kind of out of the picture until Ribfest, right? So everything happens within these 75, 80 days, whatever. He's flipping cars, flipping houses, flipping tires, just to try to make ends meet and to try to increase some sort of cash flow. Well, he decides that he wants to open up a barbecue restaurant. Before he even opens a brick and mortar, he decides to build a team and compete in the local Ribfest, which is honestly crazy because it's a yearly thing that happens in Erie, and it's a pretty big event, and it lasts 4 days. And I remember it was the day after my birthday, and my birthday is May 27th. And my brother calls me the next morning, early. And at this point, me and my brother, it's not that we didn't talk. It's just he never called me, unless it was an emergency. So he calls me early on, and I'm just oh no, something's happening. So I answer, and he's just hey, I'm down at Ribfest right now. I need help. There's nobody here to help us. And I'm just okay, I'll be right down. Not knowing what to expect, not knowing how he even got himself in this situation, right? Why is my brother at Ribfest? I kind of knew a little bit about what was going on, but again, had no idea what I was about to get into, right? So I go down there, and there's him and one other person. And when we're talking about Ribfest, we're talking about thousands of people. And I have worked in kitchens and done big events. I just turned 31. I've been, in kitchens since I was about 15. And I've pulled off a couple like 1,500, 2,000 people events, and you need a big crew for that. And so I just walked in the tent and I'm like, oh no, there wasn't a hand washing station. There wasn't organization. There wasn't a lot of cohesiveness. I feel like I'm getting really into the details, but there's so much. Long story short, right? We win RibFest, and I was there the whole time. I, helped on pit. Oh, I thought my laptop just died. I'm sorry. Yeah, we won RibFest, right? After RibFest, Glenn invited me to go back to the restaurant and check it out because he just leased a building. So I meet him there a couple days later, and he offers me a position for a kitchen manager, and I take it. And at that time, I was running my own business and decided to put that on the back burner for a little bit. I wanted to learn a little bit about barbecue. I actually never did that before. I was always more into other cuisines, but I'm always down to learn something new, So figured I'd try it out. Well, we opened in June of 2019. We opened on Father's Day, and it was crazy. It was so crazy. At this point, he had finally told us who he really was. That his name wasn't really Glenn Bryant, but it was Glenn Stearns. And everybody was pretty like shocked, but nobody. It also didn't really matter, It was just like, holy crap! Like, I don't know. It didn't really change the story for us, but the thing that really got me was like, and I don't know if they showed this in the show. Before he left, and after he revealed who he was, he kind of went around. We all gathered in the bar, and he all went like he was talking to us, and he went around the room and talking about each person that actually stopped what they were doing in their lives to come and help him, and just talking about how none of us gave up. Everybody continued to believe in him, believe in this idea, and he was appreciative, and he's just like, that's why we don't give up. And at the end of this, really awesome speech, he lifts up the shirt and he has a feeding tube, and he like is just like, we never give up no matter what. And I like, that was the moment like that really got to me, like more so than, hey guys, I'm like a billionaire. It's like, even through the hardest of times, you don't give up. Like, the struggle is a part of the journey, right? So he leaves after we open, and we have a management team in place, and we have our staff, and it's really busy. We find out that it wasn't just a small show that they were producing. It was Discovery, and it was going to be premiered on national television, international television, I guess. Like, they show it all around the world, but that was just like crazy in itself. So like, opening up a new restaurant, everybody wants to try you out, but showcasing your origin story on television, everybody comes. We were crazy busy for the first 6 months we were open. It was nonstop. I remember doing like 20-hour days. Like, I did not sleep that much just because it was so crazy. We opened the restaurant within a week between RibFest and our opening day. Like, I remember, working on a menu that I only had the recipes up in my head. It was so crazy. I've never experienced that in my life, and I don't know if I ever will again. But 2020 happens, right? And that's when COVID kind of hits the world and kind of puts everything on pause, right? Everybody everybody got furloughed. There was one employee there that stuck it out and tried to make ends meet. And, when everybody was kind of called back, it wasn't in good shape. And we kind of realized that we were not in a good position. And that leads us into the summer of 2020 when Glenn and production decided to come back, and they decided to visit Underdog, and they kind of see what kind of shape it's in. He got it evaluated, and I guess I missed this point. when it first opened, it was evaluated at $750,000. So it actually fell short of his goal. But I still think that's incredible, right? $750,000 in 90 days. Unfortunately, a year later, it was evaluated at $450,000. Even with such an incredible start, COVID really hit the industry just like it hit the rest of the world. So he decided to make some changes, and they decided to make a show about it. And I believe that Undercover Billionaire Comeback City has 6 episodes. Each episode focuses on a business in Erie. And we're the 6th episode. So he helped 5 other businesses and then kind of helped us maneuver through COVID. And during that process, he's like a small business usually has cash flow that would last them for about 30 days. And so that was like his goal that he was putting onto us. He's like, you have like 30 days to turn this around, right? And he met with the team, and he decided to make some changes. And he promoted me at this point to general manager. He offered the position to me. And I mean, I've done a little bit of front of house work before, but that's probably not my strongest suit. That's usually in the kitchen, but I like a challenge. So I said, sure. And I could kind of tell he was hesitant, but I think he believed in me enough to see how this panned out. And I think we were both a little nervous, but yeah, we did a lot. We cleaned the place up. It kind of didn't look that nice. We had only outdoor dining, so we had to go and buy like these kind of cheap looking tents from like a general store, and it just didn't look appealing. And so we were able to change some of that. We built out a patio. We did some events, got ourselves on the third-party delivery systems, really cut a lot of costs, cut labor. I was looking at every number. I learned a lot going to school on financials, but I never had to do it before. So it was like my first time really digging deep, and I did. And we saved a lot of money. We made a lot of money, and it was just in a short period of time. But at the end of that 30 days, he meets with me again. And I think that I missed another very integral part of this whole story. And that's why there's like so many small details that matter. When he offered me the position of general management and I took it, he's like, well, here's the thing is that if you can't turn it around in 30 days, I'm going to sell it. And so like, not only do I have this pressure of like, wow, it's like a brand new position I'm in, like it's this or nothing, right? Like this is everything. So he met with me again after the 30 days and sat me down at the bar, and the projections came back for an evaluation of $800,000 because we were already talking about doing national shipping, and we had all these other ideas in mind. So the future looked promising. I was really excited. I'm just like, holy crap, like we really pulled it together. I look at him and I'm just like, so I think like we're both on the edge of our seats. What are you going to do? Like, you going to sell? And he's like, yeah. And I just started crying. I'm just like, you a-hole. You know what I mean? I was like so upset. It broke my heart. In that second, I knew how much me and the staff really put into the place. And I was like really angry. But within, I felt like I was like, it was a long moment. But the next moment, he's like, I want to sell it to you. And then I'm like crying even more. And I'm like, Glenn, I mean, you sign my checks. You know how much I make. Like, I can't afford this. And he's like, how about I sell it to you for what I started off with, $100? And I like almost fell out of my seat, right? This is a life-changing moment. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I mean, you made an offer I couldn't refuse, right? So that paperwork went through in March of 2021. So it was official that I took over the business. And then we had a great year. 2021 was the best year we've had financially, and, really getting a good team together and making sure that we were crossing our T's, dotting our I's. Unfortunately, in 2022, the lease that Glenn had signed ended in May. So this is last May. I was already looking at other locations because I knew I didn't want to stay.
Mm-hmm.
But in my head, in my timeline, I wanted to sign another year lease. I wanted to do it right. I wanted to figure it out, but that never really is how things work, right? Things don't ever go as planned. So, I lost the deal to do an extended 1 year lease, and I did everything I could to kind of stay in that location for another month to get everything in order to figure out our next move. And that was when I decided right down the road, there was an old Perkins building on 8th Street. And I'd actually looked at it earlier on that year, and it was shut down for about 3 years. And it had a leaking roof, and there was a lot of water damage, and it was ugly. It was really not pretty inside. But I'm like, I can see it. I can see Underdog here. And so I made I feel like it was calculated, but I also feel like it was very
Very quick.
I had no other choice, and I was going to make it work, and that was that. And so within 2 weeks, I put in an offer. It got approved, it got accepted, and we closed the deal. And our last day over at our old location was July 25th, and we moved our restaurant in its entirety in 3 days.
Wow.
We had to hurry up, and the first thing we did was get the roof fixed. We had to treat and clean the whole front area, so we had somewhere safe to put our stuff in the meantime while we just did everything we could. We served off our food truck for as long as we could. It was kind of getting to the end of summer there. The weather starts getting unpredictable here in Erie. So, we were closed for a year under renovations, and it's nice to kind of get back to some normalcy, right?
Mm-hmm. And how's the new location been treating you?
It's been really nice. I love what we've been able to do with it. Like I said, we still have a couple things we want to finish, but you walk in there and you feel like home. Mm-hmm. and that's I feel like this is a new beginning for us. This past year, I really have taken the time to, other than renovate a whole building, but honed in a lot of my barbecue techniques and skills. So it's not just like the old barbecue that we had at Underdog. It's a little bit more elevated, a little bit more of a twist on some classics. I'm really excited. I'm in a really good spot. Mentally, we have the best team we've had since we've opened, and we're all just gearing up, ready to go. So
that brings up a follow-up question. How much does your team mean to you? How much does having such a supportive team mean to you as the general manager?
Everything. My team is my drive. We may have our days, we may have our moments. This industry, you learn very quickly that you spend more time with the people you work with in this industry than you do with your own family. So they pretty much become your family. And that's how I feel about my team. We've taken care of each other. People have had my back. I've had their back. I think we all understand that if the chips fell for one of us, we'd lift them up. It's happened. I've seen it. I've been through it. I know Underdog would not be here to this extent without the team we have today. So
love it. So what was it like for you being on the show Undercover Billionaire? I know you didn't know you were on Undercover Billionaire, but what was it like for you there? And has the show generated new customers for you?
Yeah. So first part, it was strange. It was hard. It was like you're wearing a mic, and sometimes you forget you're wearing a mic, and you're just being yourself, and you're being silly, and you're like, oh, people are actually hearing me talk to myself or whatever, and I don't know, when you have a camera in your face, you don't really know how to act. Sometimes you forget what you're saying, who you are. It's just one of those moments where you feel like all the eyes are on you. And I think it's probably for the better that I didn't know that it was Discovery, because I probably would have had a lot more freeze ups in and mumbling and stumbling through it all, but it was fun. I mean, we got to know the crew, like the production crew, and I'm still, friends with most of them to this day, like kind of keep in touch and touch base with each other. To the second part, especially when it was announced that it was a discovery show, like a lot of not just local people, but we had so many national and international people. Just we were the destination they wanted to travel to. It was it was and it still is crazy to think about. I mean, we used to. This is one of the things that we want to still do. We used to have a big map of the world on our wall, and we want to put that up again at the new location because people would come and they would put a little tack on the wall of where they came from. And we had people come from Korea, Australia, Alaska, Hawaii, all over the United States, all over the world. It's mind-boggling sometimes. And we still get people that have seen the show. They're outside of the United States. And they still want to come and try Underdog BBQ. Like, we get messages on our social media all the time. Like, I'm glad to see that you're finally open. Like, COVID's done. Like, I'm traveling. I'll be there. It's crazy to process that.
Wonderful. So I hear your business, as the name Underdog kind of includes, your business is dog friendly.
Yes, absolutely.
Tell us more about that.
Who doesn't love dogs? Who doesn't love animals? I mean, dogs especially, they're so happy, they're so bubbly. Underdog. Our logo is a bulldog, which I like to think is inspired by my brother's dog, Bella. She's like my little baby, even though she's his, she's like my little niece,
Yeah.
but because of that, I mean, yeah, we have our outdoor patio, and so we allow you to bring your pets. Your dogs are welcome. We have water bowls for them. 10 out of 10 times, the server will definitely come and ask me, hey, do you have a little bit of like extra brisket or extra pulled pork or whatever, as long as the owners are okay with it. Everybody always asks, but everybody always wants to give the puppies a treat. And so, yes. And I'm like, yeah, here it is, but like, I'm coming with you, right? Like, I want to see the dogs. So
Yeah.
It's like everybody's favorite part of the job, I think, is like people bringing their little puppies. And we're kind of like, we love it so much, we're kind of leaning into it, right? One of the things that we're, again, working on is a little doggy menu, like dog friendly menu. We want to do dog drinks, like dog cocktails, dog friendly cocktails, and little dog friendly treats. And I have they're like little biscuits, kind of like those little bones, but they're homemade. I make them with pumpkin, sweet potato, whatever, a little bit of our beef tallow. But yeah, and then another thing we were thinking about doing is a charcuterie board and having a little arrangement for them so they can have their meal while their humans eat their barbecue,
Ooh.
Yeah.
I like that idea. I like all that. I'm hearing about that. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So,
Thank you.
on top of being dog friendly, on top of the new location, you also have a food truck, correct?
Kind of. So last February, we bought a fire truck and we converted it into a food truck. And I was so proud of it. It was, I don't know. We got it in last February and we had it up and running by June. It was like the beginning of summer. We were able to really hit all the summer events pretty hard. And we had a great season and we were still utilizing it. Like, as long as it wasn't, I think we even took it out in the snow sometimes. Like, we bundled up. Like, there were some days where I'm like, this is harsh, but we got business. I remember going to events where it was like tsunamis. Anyways, so it literally carried us through renovations. Like I said, people came and ate in our parking lot. Like, not like in our parking lot, but another thing that we did like right off the bat when we moved was set up our outdoor dining area. So people were able to come order off the truck and then eat eat in the outdoor patio. And again, we did events all last summer while we could, and pretty much all this season. Literally, I think the day before or the day that we opened, it was, I don't remember specifically, but there was an event that we did, and I get the call that it was like, because I was trying to open, I think it was before that restaurant, because I remember being at the restaurant and people were going to the event. And I get a call that the fire truck was smoking. And I'm just like, that's not how that's supposed to work. Right. And so come to find out, we get it looked at, and it's like something's wrong with the engine. And fire truck engines are like really expensive. Come to find out, I'm not surprised, but we haven't given up all hope. We're still doing pop-up events with our branded tents and stuff, but it was a hard hit. She like lasted right to the bitter end, right when we were about to open. So I appreciate for that, right?
Mm-hmm. And at least it was around that point. It wasn't like, okay, you're still opening this new restaurant, you're still getting all this. Now the food truck's gone. Okay, what do we do now? Yeah. You know?
And it's unfortunate because we had a lot of events booked that, like, not that they specifically wanted us with a food truck, but like the fire truck, everybody looks at a fire truck, you know?
Yeah.
It pretty much like, and that's kind of why we got it. I mean, it fit perfectly, but business sense, it you know, it turns everybody's head, you know, exactly. Like, oh, what's that? It's a fire truck. Oh my gosh, it's not just a fire truck, it's a food truck. I need to check that out. And so not having it, you know, we have to reach out to everybody, give them the heads up that we don't have the food truck, but people are still like, hey, food truck or not, come on down. We love Underdog BBQ. So that in itself has been nice.
That's what I like to hear. I like that it's the fact that, hey, you still don't have one thing. That's all right. Just come as you are.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like fire truck or nothing. Let's go.
Yeah, right. It's good to know that it's not just the fire truck, that they like, you know what I mean? It's nice to have the community support through the hard times.
And I like too that the fact like you got creative with the fire truck, because you're right, it turns heads. Like, you know, you see a fire truck just driving down the street naturally, even if you live 2 blocks away from it or something, kind of like I do. You know, you still turn the head like, where's it going? What's it doing today? Yeah. You know, does it have its lights on? Is it going to some emergency, or is it just strolling down the park because it just came back from a parade or something?
Exactly.
Like you said, you see, like, it's wait, that's not a fire truck. That's a food truck?
That's Underdog BBQ.
Exactly.
Yep.
So this next question is a 2-parter. The first question is, what are some of the hottest menu items you've got going on, like your most popular menu items? And the second part is, what are some of your favorite menu items? I know that's like asking who's your favorite child. They're not, you know, but still.
Yeah, that's hard. So the hottest menu items, I mean, everybody comes to, you know, eat our ribs and our brisket, pulled pork, our chicken. I mean, those are our commodities. You can't, like, that's kind of what you anticipate with a barbecue restaurant. Our ribs are award winning. Our brisket, like, our brisket game's on point. That's kind of why I mentioned, like, this past year I like read a lot and I did a lot of research, and I bought my own smoker at home and did a lot of testing and tasting and tweaking, and my brisket game has not always been the best, but like literally the past like 3-4 days, I've just been like, this is the best brisket I've ever done. And then the next day I'm like, no, this is the best brisket I've ever, you know, and it just keeps getting better and better. So I'd have to say I'm really proud of the brisket now. So I think people come to eat the ribs, definitely, because of the Rib Fest, because people want to see what it's all about. But my favorite menu items are probably the ones that I've been able to. Sometimes I really have to reel myself back in because I try to think like too outside of the box. But we used to have smoked golden deviled eggs, and we cold smoked those, but that was at our old restaurant. And I wanted this to be a little bit different. I wanted it to be more elevated. I wanted to mature some of our recipes. So instead, we've marinated them in soy sauce and have done a light smoke on them with a barbecue mayonnaise filling, chives, pickled red onions, and we top it off with another one of my favorite things that I've perfected is a little bit of brisket bacon bits. And so I used to make bacon out of pork belly, smoked bacon. But now I take the brisket, I trim it up, I cure it for 5 days, I smoke it, I let it sit, and then I cut it. And it's like, it's delicious. You can't go wrong. Another thing I'm proud about that is also featured in is our Pitmaster Smasher. That's a 6-ounce ground beef patty that we lightly smoke, and that is delivered on a locally baked brioche bun, thanks to Luminary Bakery. And we top that off with whiskey onions, smoked Gouda, lettuce, tomato, homemade pickles, and the brisket bacon. And that sells almost as much as our platters. So maybe we're like converting people, like people come for the ribs, but they really stay for the burgers. I'm not sure. But another classic that I enjoy personally, like I will eat it. Like I'll go in and I'll order it. And our best seller for apps always is our pulled pork nachos. We've always had them on the menu. We used to do a pico de gallo, and on the new menu, we have changed it to corn and black bean salsa, but it comes with our homemade cheese sauce, pulled pork, Sassy Ashley barbecue sauce, the corn and black bean salsa, and our homemade quick pickled jalapenos. So those fly out the window. People love them. We fry it. I think it's because of the chip. I think it's on the delivery. Everybody loves our. We take 6-inch flour tortillas and we cut them like a pie, and then we like quick fry them in our deep fat fryer, and they're so light and airy and delicious. But for people who have a gluten intolerance, we do offer corn tortilla nachos. So
Nice. So you
Yes.
do have options for people with special dietary needs.
Yes, that is a big thing about, like, with my background in the culinary world. I'm very inclusive. I have my own like dietary needs that are a little bit different than the norm, so I understand. We have gluten-free buns. All of our meat is gluten-free naturally, and we don't use any binders, so it doesn't. Some places kind of do that, and then you can't even try meat, because if you use a binder with like some people use mayonnaise, and if you have an allergy to eggs, then but then that reminds me of another thing. So for our plant-based people, and I don't think like the trends really hit Erie. I think Erie's always like a latecomer to the game, but we have soy curl sandwiches. And so all it is just like soy protein strips, and they come in dehydrated, so it's shelf stable, but we rehydrate them in a little bit of water, a little bit of our Rust Belt to flavor it, and then we lightly coat it in cornstarch, and then pan fry it, so it almost gets that barkiness that you would get from something off the smoker. But it's a nice twist on something that's totally, I don't know. Everybody that's tried it is just like, this is delicious, but I've never heard of it. And so I try to always let people know about that, because it's just, I don't know if there's anywhere else in Erie that has soy curls. So I'm trying to, teach people a little bit about different options that we have out here.
Mm-hmm. Even when I tell myself, eat before your episode, because you're going to get hungry, especially if you're talking to a food vendor. I do it.
We should have
at the end of the episode.
We should have done the episode at the restaurant.
Ooh, I like that.
Maybe we'll have to do like a part 2.
Oh, you know it. We can do a live event. We can do a live remote. We've done it before.
That'd be awesome, because we because I don't know. Now I'm thinking about the desserts. I just made oh my gosh. We had a delivery today, and they requested cupcakes, so we made blackberry cupcakes with lemon frosting and smoked chocolate chip cookies. So I don't know. That'd be like a sweet treat to end it all, like end the podcast with the next one, right? That's what I'm saying, is the next one we should do a live event, do a little taste testing, maybe go in the kitchen and cook something up. We'll have to talk later about that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yep. So a question that popped into my mind. Let's say there's someone out there who's just hearing about Underdog for the first time, comes in for the first time, is not like overwhelmed by the menu, but kind of like, what do I get? They're all so delicious, you know.
Right.
What would you recommend? What would you recommend to them to like start out to like if this is your first time eating here, this is what I would highly recommend.
I would absolutely recommend the pulled pork nachos to start off with.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would suggest doing a 3-meat platter because we have 4 meats and you can pick 3 of them, have a little taste of everything. The 3-meat platter comes with 2 sides. And I'd finish it off with our smoked caramel salted creme brulee.
Ooh, love it.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Absolutely love it. So, what we're based in Erie, PA. What do you love most about being a business in Erie, Pennsylvania?
The community, for sure. You meet a lot of good people. And I mean, you can say that about anywhere, but I've been born and raised in Erie. I've been here my whole life. I mean, I've seen some of Erie's struggles. Some people really like to bash this place, but I love it. It's home.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my heart belongs to the city. I don't know. It's just been my place where I've had some hard times here, but it's really the community that has, especially with business, it's them who's got us through this. You know, if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here. It's their support. It's them, saying, just because you moved, we'll be there. We can't wait for you to open. That was a huge mental reminder during the shutdown, because there were absolutely times where I'm like, is this worth it? Like, this is nuts. Why did I do this? And not to say that I never would regret this decision. And in that moment, I didn't feel regret. It was just doubt, or just, I was scared. I was scared that we'd open and nobody would show up, but they did. A lot of people did. And a lot of people showed up, and a lot of people, every table I touched, they're just like, we're so happy that you are back open. We are excited to be able to support you through this. And it's amazing,
Absolutely.
It's incredible.
Mm-hmm. Glad to hear you love here. You're absolutely right, because even me in my travels, I've spent months outside of Erie. I've gone to college outside of Erie. You think like, oh, you grow up thinking, I can't, I can't wait to, be on my own, travel to a new city.
Yeah.
A new city, and it's like, I want to go home.
Yeah. I've done.
Yeah.
I haven't done too much traveling. I mean, I've gone to Florida, Georgia. I've been up to Canada. Been to Tennessee. A couple places here and there. Nothing too crazy, but that's exactly it. It's like I go there thinking I need a break from this place. I need a break from this environment. And I get to this destination and I'm just like, I want to go home. Like, it's fun here, but it's you get homesick for your town,
Absolutely. Nothing beats a good day fishing on Lake Erie,
Right. That's exactly it. I feel that.
Mm-hmm.
Got to catch some perch.
Yep, perch and walleye.
Yep, exactly.
So, buddy, where can we learn more about Underdog BBQ?
So you can learn more about Underdog BBQ. Like I said, I mean, not to push the show, but that's our origin story. I always suggest people to check out Undercover Billionaire season 1, and then I always suggest to watch Undercover Billionaire Comeback City. The 6th episode is our episode. A lot of people don't realize or have seen it or realize it's out because before they even put it on television, I don't even know if they aired it on television. I think they aired like 2 episodes and then moved it onto their streaming service. So there's that. It's a tearjerker. Like, bring tissues. I've seen it once and I can't watch it again. I don't like watching myself, but it's very emotional. But other than that, I mean, we have our socials. We have Instagram, Facebook. I think our catering has Pinterest. We have, I think, one of everything. I think the only thing we may not have is Twitter, so don't try to find us there. But another cool thing is we have YouTube. And so, like, the show's kind of the origin, and then YouTube is, like, through renovations and kind of our story now. And that's always fun to watch. And then we have our website, www.underdogbbq.com, where you can go and check out the new menu, check out some updated pictures of the new location, our hours, or the events we're going to be at. What else? Our national shipping. That's a big thing. Our national shipping. We actually had to shut it down during our move because we didn't have the resources to do that. So I'm actually going to be relaunching that here very soon with a whole new variety of packs. We have our merch store with our sauces, our rubs and apparel. That's another thing I'm working on, is a whole new line of rubs and sauces. So a lot of things in the works. A lot of things.
A bright future ahead.
Exactly. Check it all out.
Mm-hmm. So, buddy, I got 2 more questions for you to make this an official Buddycast.
Okay.
The first one is brought to us by my buddy Jonas Kane at #positivity. He wants to know, in your own words, what does it mean to be someone's buddy?
What does it mean to be someone's buddy? I think being someone's buddy means being there for a person through thick and thin. I think it means that you have a shoulder to offer when they need one to lean on. I think it means that you can be a safe haven for somebody that might not feel accepted to the world, or they might not even feel accepting of themselves, right? It's being there for somebody that doesn't see the light through the dark. You're the hand reaching out to them. I think that's what a buddy means to me.
Wonderful. You're exactly right. Buddies are, like you said, reaching out when someone's in need, you know?
Yeah.
Alrighty, buddy. The final question I have for you tonight, but not last, not least, because like you said, we're definitely going to have to do a follow-up episode.
Yes, that's exciting.
Yeah. But the final question I have for you tonight is what we call the ultimate Buddycast buddy question. You ready for this one?
I hope so. I have to be, right?
Exactly. What is your advice to anyone out there who wants to start their own business?
Oh my gosh. A business, I think you have to be committed. You have to be dedicated. You have to be willing to learn. You also need to learn and allow and make the time to take a break for yourself. I've been through that a lot, where I will grind and grind and grind because in my head I have to. There's no other choice, but I will hit a wall, and that is when everything will eventually, not that it'll all fall apart, but it's really hard to recover from. Don't be scared or intimidated. I felt that a lot. I felt that I didn't belong, that there were all these other big restaurants and businesses and people I've met, and I felt really like anxious and intimidated and like I don't belong with these people. Like, these people know what they're doing. I was like gaslighting myself, and it's like that imposter syndrome, right? Like, do I really know what I'm doing? Don't feed into that. That will be your downfall. Try to remember that, like, you don't have to know everything. It's better to learn. Like, it's almost better to learn as you go, because if you're going to try to learn it all, then you're never going to start, because knowledge is ever evolving and changing and more information's out there. Like, don't be afraid to learn. And that's probably a good start right there. There's a bunch of resources out there. If financially, like, if you don't have, so much money. I started a business with $100, right? And I mean, that was crazy. I didn't start a business. I bought a business, but I'm not even a thousandaire, right? I don't even have a car yet still, I guess. But I'm just saying, start somewhere. Don't be afraid, even if you don't have a lot of like net worth, like financially. Like, there's a lot of people out there that want to invest and give people chances. And don't be afraid to ask for help.
Love it. You're absolutely right. Don't let your downfall get to you. Don't ever feel like I don't belong here. I don't, just keep at it. Just keep grinding every day. And you're right about the learning thing. You learn something new every day. I always say the day you're not learning is the day you're not breathing,
Exactly. And that's a really good thing to kind of like to take off that is don't do something unless you love doing it.
Exactly.
Like, a lot of people have jobs that
9
it's
to
a job
5.
for them, and that's okay as long
Yep.
as you get to like go and then you do what you love.
Yep.
But if
9 to
you're
5 doing this all
yeah,
day.
I mean, if this wasn't my passion, I probably would have quit a long time ago. So make sure if you are interested in doing a business, make sure it's something that you love doing because you're going to be working it every day. Otherwise, it's going to work you. And
Yep.
yeah.
I've said this probably 1,000 times on the show. One of my favorite sayings that I've heard from a TV show is, "Man who works for passion is far richer than man who works for money."
I love that. That is so true. That is so true.
Well, buddy, thank you for being a buddy here on Buddycast. It was a true pleasure, a true honor. Can't wait to try out Underdog BBQ myself. So we'll be there soon.
Thank you so much. I feel like I gained a buddy. So we'll have to, we'll
Absolutely.
definitely have to do another one at the new location and have a little buddy event.
Like I
That'd be
said,
fun.
like I told you at the beginning, you're not a guest on the show. You're a buddy.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for having me. It was
No problem. No
and
problem.
I hope, I don't know. I feel like it was good. I had
Yes.
fun talking. It was fun.
Absolutely. Okay. I have 2 favors to ask you before we end the
Yes.
show. Number 1,
Yes.
stick around for a minute afterwards. We'll chat afterwards. But
Okay,
number
perfect.
2, number 2, whatever you do today, tomorrow, next week, next month, even next year, please promise me you're going to go out and you're going to go be someone's buddy.
I promise.
Alrighty. I'll hold you to it.
Thank you.
For all my buddies out there, this is my buddy Ashley. Please, if you're in the Erie area, stop by Underdog BBQ. Please check out their food. Grab lunch with a buddy. Grab dinner with a buddy. Grab a meal for a buddy. Surprise, everybody loves it when you randomly knock on their door and you have food in your hand, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I'm your host.
Definitely come if your buddy is a puppy.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. Bring your dog puppies. Dogs make the best buddies, you know?
Exactly.
Yes. I'm your host, Nick Sorensen. Thank you for joining us on another episode of everybody's favorite show.
Well, the days are going fast, buddy, we've got to make them last, buddy, before they've all gone past, buddy, tune in to Buddycast.